Can food be used as medicine? Food is medicine. And that's a weird way to look at things, guys, because it's not medicine. It's just food. So when you say food is medicine, you're looking through things from a particular paradigm. It really is just about a holistic understanding of you, your health, and how that's all related to your environment, which is also the things you consume. So I want to talk about the benefits of this particular food called kimchi, which really is about the benefits of fermented foods. And I'll do this from time to time here, and then eventually I'm going to compile this into like a nutritional series and stuff. Christy Lee Doll says, don't need medicine with the right foods. Yeah, exactly. Uncle Rick said, I haven't been sick in years. Glyph says, kimchi and fermented foods in general is very healthy for the gut. Yeah, that's why I want to talk about it. I like to use these segments to present stuff like this. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about the benefits of fermented foods, particularly this kimchi, which is a South Korean dish. I mean, this article comes from Healthline. This is one of these standard articles, so not medical advice, everybody. But let's go into it. Let's do it. 9 surprising benefits of kimchi. Kimchi is a traditional Korean dish made with salted fermented vegetables. It is nutrient dense, contains probiotics, and may help support the immune system and reduce inflammation, among many possible benefits. I mean, that tells you right there, guys. I mean, supports immune system. My article's glitching out. Stop. All right, yeah. Historically, oh my God, they're just throwing up ads and cookies. I can't take. All right. Historically, it has always been possible to grow fresh vegetables. It hasn't always been possible to grow fresh vegetables throughout the year. Therefore, people have developed food preservation methods such as pickling and fermentation, a process that uses enzymes to create chemical changes in food. Right, that's a great point, guys. We didn't always exist in this quote unquote, notice I said quote, global economy, where you can just have fresh blueberries all year round, or fresh broccoli and fresh kale, because they're just shipping this stuff up from South America. They're going from Southern Hemisphere to Northern Hemisphere, and we didn't always have that. So when you had your growing season, mankind developed ways to preserve the foods. Well, it turns out these preservation methods also have extreme health benefits. Let's go into it. Guys, mankind's amazing. We're having an amazing experience here, and we're being deluded and programmed and propagandized and brainwashed into thinking other ways. There's so many little simple, beautiful things in this realm that we're distracted from. So let's talk about it. Here we go. Kimchi typically contains cabbage and seasonings like sugar, salt, onions, garlic, ginger, and chili peppers. It may also boast other vegetables, including radish, celery, carrot, cucumber, eggplant, spinach, scallions, beets, and bamboo shoots. Though kimchi is usually fermented for a few days to a few weeks before serving, it can be eaten fresh or unfermented immediately after preparation. This dish is not only delectable, but also offers many health benefits. Here are 9 unique benefits of kimchi. Yeah, let's go into it. Number 1, it's nutrient dense. Kimchi is packed with nutrients while being low in calories. On its own, Chinese cabbage, one of the main ingredients is kimchi, boasts vitamin A and C, and at least 10 different minerals, and over 34 amino acids. People always say, where do you get your protein from? Yeah, guys, I have to understand what protein is. This is why, although I don't promote a vegan diet, this is why vegans can get proteins from vegetables, because they have amino acids. The basic building blocks of protein structures are amino acids. certain amino acids build themselves into these chains. These chains form these protein structures that are the fundamental building blocks of our cells. You get it, guys? That's the same way how a gorilla who just eats plants all day long could be so strong. And he's very, anatomically, physiologically, very similar to us. The same way an elephant doesn't have to eat meat. Another mammal, they can get their protein from vegetables. Anyway, that's besides the point. Let's continue. Many green vegetables are good sources of nutrients like vitamin K and riboflavin. Because kimchi often comprises several green veggies such as cabbage, celery, and spinach, it's typically a great source of these nutrients. Vitamin K plays an important role in bodily functions, including bone metabolism and blood clotting, while riboflavin helps regulate energy production, cellular growth, and metabolism. What's more, the fermentation process may develop additional nutrients that are more easily absorbed into your body. And that's the other key, guys. It's not just about the nutrients, it's about the absorption rate of the food. Because if your body's not absorbing those nutrients, then you're not able to process them. You're not making use of them. They're likely just going to pass through your system. So the absorption quality and rate of the food should be noted. All right, let's continue. Number 2, second benefit, it contains probiotics. This is a good one. The probiotic aspect. The lacto fermentation process that kimchi undergoes makes it particularly unique. Fermented foods not only have an extended shelf life, but also an enhanced taste and aroma. That's the cool part about this fermentation. Not only are you preserving your food stores, but it's giving it more taste and aroma and health benefits. It's an amazing process. Fermentation occurs when a starch or sugar is converted into an alcohol or acid by organisms like yeast, mold, and bacteria. I'm going to read that again because that pretty much sums it up. Fermentation occurs when a starch or sugar is converted into alcohol or acid by organisms like yeast, mold, and bacteria. It's the same process for alcohol production, like wine, spirits, and beer. To ferment the starch or sugar, you use things like yeast, mold, and bacteria. Anyway, let's continue. Lactofermentation uses the bacterium Lactobacillus to break sugars down into lactic acid, which gives kimchi its characteristic sourness. When taken as a supplement, the bacterium may offer several benefits, including treating conditions like hay fever and certain types of diarrhea. Fermentation also creates an environment that allows other friendly bacteria to thrive and multiply. These include probiotics, which are live microorganisms that offer health benefits when consumed in large amount. Right. When we talk about things like our gut health, okay, the health of our small and large intestines, you talk about these beneficial bacteria. That's why when you take antibiotics, it not only kills the bad bacteria, but also these beneficial ones. And the micro environment of the gut is highly associated with health because it involves, like I said, the absorption of the nutrients through the small intestine walls and then into your bloodstream. That's where the absorption takes place mostly, is in that small intestine. And it's highly dependent on the microenvironment and the microorganisms of the gut. Let's continue. In fact, they're linked to the prevention and treatment of several conditions, including certain types of cancer, the common cold, constipation, gastrointestinal health, heart health, mental health, and skin conditions. Surprisingly enough, one's mental health, the neurochemistry of the central nervous system, combined with the hormones, the body's hormones. A lot of that is regulated by your gut, by your gut health. They're very similar, very similar. So when you link the neurological system and your endocrine system, and when you look at those as a whole, you find that this delicate homeostasis, this balance that we need to maintain, proper functioning of our body, a lot of it is linked to our gut health. People say you are what you eat, and although I don't necessarily agree with that, I do find great wisdom in that. Let's continue. The probiotics in kimchi are believed to be responsible for many of its benefits. Nonetheless, more research on the specific effects of probiotics from fermented foods is needed. Let's continue. The third benefit of kimchi may strengthen your immune system. The lactobacillus bacterium in kimchi may boost your immune health. In a study in mice, those injected with lactobacillium, a specific strain that's common in kimchi and other fermented foods, had lower levels of inflammatory marker tumor necrosis factor alpha, which is the TNF alpha, than the control group. I want you guys to focus on that term. Inflammatory markers. When you look at your health and your immune system, you often want to look at what's called these inflammatory markers, because many have an understanding, and I'm included, that much of our disease is associated with our body's inflammatory response, the way we respond to our environment, the chemicals in our environment. And of course, when we look at that topic, we have to include food. If we're consuming foods, if we're being exposed to a particular environment that is causing inflammation within the body, we can see particular effects associated with this particular circumstance or condition. Amongst them are the common diseases we see associated with our standard Western American culture, the Western American diet, or the westernized diet, I should say. We look at things like high blood pressure, diabetes, coronary heart disease, different types of arthritises, mental health conditions. We define these as separate diseases in and of themselves, but in reality, they seem to be multiple symptoms, symptomatic presentations of an underlying dis-ease within the body, often caused by systemic inflammation. So when we look at here, these inflammatory markers that we can use as indicators of systemic inflammation, we can see that certain types of bacterium, especially the beneficial ones, help promote lower levels of these inflammatory markers and factors. Let's continue. Because TNF alpha levels are often elevated during infection and disease, a decrease indicates that the immune system is working efficiently. Right, just what I was saying. A test tube study that isolated Lactobacillus plantarum from kimchi likewise demonstrated that this bacterium has immune-enhancing effects. Right. Let's continue. Number 4 benefit, may reduce inflammation. Again, along the same lines. Probiotics and active compounds in kimchi and other fermented foods may help fight inflammation. For example, a mouse study revealed that one of the principal compounds in kimchi improved blood vessel health by suppressing the inflammation. Right. There's been studies that have shown that this inflammation affects your blood vessels. Like I said, coronary artery disease, plaque buildup. We were told over and over and over again in the 80s and 90s that high cholesterol was the leading cause of coronary artery disease and plaque buildup. Guess what, guys? Further research has shown that it's not the cholesterol that have actually caused this artery disease and this plaque buildup. That no, those things are actually necessary for proper endocrine and hormonal health. It's not the cholesterol. It's not the saturated fat. It's actually the systemic inflammation that causes micro damage to the walls, the interior parts of the vessel. This micro damage then leads to the binding of the cholesterol and the HDL lipids in the blood that cause the plaque buildup. Therefore, it is not the cholesterol or the HDL saturated fats themselves, but no, it's the inflammatory process that leads to the buildup. Let's continue. In another mouse study, a kimchi extract administered at a certain milligrams per pound body weight at a certain interval lowered levels of inflammation-related enzymes. Right. Meanwhile, test tube study confirmed anti-inflammatory properties by blocking, suppressing the release of inflammatory compounds. Exactly. Yeah. Continue. Benefit 5 of kimchi may slow aging. Chronic inflammation is not only associated with numerous illnesses, but also accelerates the aging process. Interesting, kimchi possibly prolongs cell life by slowing this process. In a test tube study, human cells were treated with kimchi demonstrated increased viability, which measures overall cell health, as well as showed an extended lifespan regardless of age. More studies are needed. Number 6 benefit of kimchi may prevent yeast infections. And this isn't just in women. This is going to be for everybody. It's going to go into candida. Let's continue. This is big for all you parasite people. I know it's a big topic amongst these truther circles, is this idea of parasites, parasitic invasion of the system. A lot of people feel as though these parasites are sentient in some way and begin to control one's consciousness. Some analogize or in some ways metaphorically understand that these parasites may indeed be linked to kind of the biblical understandings of demonic possession, and that these parasites may be viewed as a physical manifestation of some energetic disease. Let's continue. Kimchi's probiotics and healthy bacteria may help prevent yeast infections. Vaginal yeast infections occur when the candida fungus, which is normally harmless, multiplies rapidly inside the vagina. As this fungus may be developing resistance to antibiotics, many researchers are looking for natural treatments. Test tube and animal studies suggest that certain strains of Lactobacillus fight candida. One test tube study even found that multiple strains isolated from kimchi displayed antimicrobial activity against the fungus. Regardless, further research is needed. And again, guys, it's not just about the candida in the vagina. It's about systemic candida. Some people think it can invade your upper respiratory system. Some people even think that this candida fungus and other types of fungus can go through the blood-brain barrier and invade your central nervous system, causing brain fog, fatigue, and others. I can go on and on about this, guys, but let me continue. Number 7, may aid weight loss. Fresh and fermented kimchi are both low in calories and may boost weight loss, of course. A 4-week study in 22 people with excess weight found that eating fresh or fermented kimchi helped reduce body weight, body mass index, which is the BMI, and body fat. Additionally, the fermented variety decreased blood sugar levels. Keep in mind that those who ate fermented kimchi displayed significantly greater improvements in blood pressure and body fat percentage than those who ate the fresh dish. Right, again, lending to the benefits of the fermented kimchi. It's unclear which properties of kimchi are responsible for the weight loss effects, though its low calorie count, high fiber content, and probiotics could all play a role. Yeah. Number 8 benefit of kimchi may support heart health. And you guys, you see how these are all related? They're all related, and that's the interesting part about our body, our health, proper functioning of our body, our different systems, is they're all related in this beautiful dance, this interplay of our systems. Our body seems to be a grand orchestra with multiple components that all have to be in sync and harmonized in a particular way. When we can harmonize the multiple systems of our body, we see a more harmonious presentation in our energy overall. It lends itself to the amazing mind-body-spirit link that we find in this realm and the interconnectedness of these different domains, which seemingly are separate, but in reality all function off of each other to promote harmony. Research indicates that kimchi may reduce your risk of heart disease. This may be due to its anti-inflammatory properties, as recent evidence suggests that inflammation may be the underlying cause of heart disease. That's what I was saying earlier, guys. The body's inflammatory process. Look, I look at it like this. There are certain foods that have sprung from mankind's venture into society as opposed to community. Mankind's venture into large-scale agriculture, or even agriculture in general, the agrarian society. If you can picture man in a proper state of nature, you find man more so as a hunter-gatherer. Many of you know I put no credence into macroevolution. I don't think man evolved over time. I don't see that. But I do see man in a certain state of nature that's much different than the presentation of mankind that we see today. If you see man more of as a hunter-gatherer, more as a nomad, and you examine what the diet was of that type of man, you find that we had a much more anti-inflammatory diet. There was no grains. Grains are really grass products. Grains are a product of agriculture and agro-farming. Whether it's wheat, rice, oats, barley, corn, or even sugar cane, which where we get most of our sugar, at least our table sugar, white processed refined sugar. These are all grass products. Grass products are a result of agriculture, farming. Even the domestication of animals, animal husbandry. These are products of man moving from the hunter-gatherer into the agricultural society that we find. Thus, when you look at the foods that we eat now, we find that they're highly inflammatory. Thus, many of the conditions that we see today. You can even see this being presented as an allegory with the Cain and Abel story of Genesis. Cain killed Abel. Abel was a hunter-gatherer. Cain was a farmer. Cain represents man's transition into the agriculture agrarian society that we see today. The agricultural society killed the hunter-gatherer society. Cain killed Abel. These things were presented as allegory to man. At least that's one interpretation. This transition to eating grains, the high meat consumption due to large-scale animal husbandry and agribusiness has promoted this dis-ease we see in our society. Let me continue. So I was on number 8, may support heart health. This may be due to its anti-inflammatory properties, as recent evidence suggests that inflammation may be the underlying cause of heart disease. In an 8-week study in mice fed with high cholesterol diet, fat levels in blood and liver were lower in those given kimchi extract than in people in the control group. In addition, the kimchi extract appeared to suppress fat growth. Right. You see what I said about the cholesterol? They gave the mice the same high cholesterol diet, but in some of the mice, they gave them this kimchi extract, And they found that the fat levels in the blood and liver were lower. It wasn't about the fat. It was about the body's response to the fat. I'm going to say this over and over again. You need high cholesterol, especially men, women of childbearing age. This whole thing to avoid high cholesterol is a farce and a fallacy. Anybody who remembers the diet recommendation of the late 80s and early 90s was told about lowering cholesterol, lowering fat. That was found to be completely wrong. And it was actually harming people. You need fat, but you need to lower your body's inflammatory response so you can process the fats properly. Let's continue. This is important as the accumulation of fat in these areas may contribute to heart disease. I was saying that earlier. Meanwhile, a week-long study including 100 people found that eating 0.5 to 7.5 ounces of kimchi daily significantly decreased blood sugar, total cholesterol, and LDLs, which is the quote-unquote bad cholesterol levels, all of which are risk factors for heart disease. Needed. And number 9, the final benefit here of kimchi is it's easy to make at home. You can make it easy. Though preparing fermented foods may seem like a daunting task, making kimchi at home is fairly simple. If you adhere to the following steps, I'll read them here, why not? I'll go fast. Gather ingredients of your choice, such as cabbage. Cabbage seems like the main ingredient, but there's others, like other fresh vegetables like carrots, radish, onions, along with ginger, garlic, salt, rice flour, chili oil, chili powder, and pepper flakes, fish sauce, and fermented shrimp. Cut and wash the vegetables alongside the ginger and garlic. Spread salt in between the layers of cabbage leaves and let it sit for 2 to 3 hours. Turn the cabbage every 30 minutes to evenly distribute the salt. Use a ratio of ½ cup of salt to every 6 pounds of cabbage. To remove the excess salt, rinse the cabbage with cold water and drain in a colander or strainer. Mix the rice flour, sugar, ginger, garlic, chili oil, pepper flakes, fish sauce, and the fermented shrimp, which I can't pronounce the name of it. It's called soyjot. Into a paste, adding water if necessary. You can use more or less of these ingredients depending on how strong you want the kimchi to taste. Toss the fresh vegetables, including the cabbage, into the paste until all the veggies have fully coated. Pack the mixture into a large container or jar for storage, making sure to seal it properly. Let the kimchi ferment for at least 3 days at room temperature or up to 3 weeks at 39 degrees Fahrenheit. Wow, that sounds pretty cool, 3 weeks. From what I'm told, in South Korea, when they make it authentically, after they store it into the container and seal it nice and tight, I believe they actually store it underground, which makes sense to me. Who needs a refrigerator when you could just put it underground? They store it in that method. And then it says to make a version suitable for vegetarians and vegans, simply leave out the fish sauce and the sujut, which is the fermented shrimp. And then it says if you prefer the fresh over the fermented kimchi, stop after step 6. I mean, if you're going to go so far as to prep it, you might as well ferment it. If you choose fermentation, you'll know that it's ready to eat once it starts to smell and taste sour, and when small bubbles begin to move through the jar. After fermentation, you can refrigerate your kimchi for up to a year. So think about it. After you ferment it, if you toss it in the fridge or store it cold enough, it'll last up to a year, guys. Long enough until your next harvest season, at least. I may go more into the fermentation of foods. Kimchi just may be the start of this series because, you can preserve your foods, guys, which means you can have your gardens. Imagine if you have a beautiful garden, guys. You're growing your cabbage. What else did it say? You grow your carrots. You're growing radish, onions, garlic, ginger. And you have a huge crop. You don't have to waste it. You don't have to sell it. You can store your food, guys. What better way than to ferment it? And you'll have wonderful vegetables all year round that are healthy and otherwise. And let's finish the article up right here saying that And as you're storing it for a year in your refrigerator, it will continue to ferment, but at a slower rate due to the cooler temperature. Bubbling and bulging, a sour taste, and a softening of the cabbage are perfectly normal for kimchi. However, if you notice a foul odor or any signs of mold, such as white film at the top, your dish has spoiled and should be thrown away. And then it says, does kimchi have any downsides? Safety concerns, right? So the downside could be if you fuck it up, guys. Recently, E. coli, norovirus. Even though fermented foods don't typically carry foodborne pathogen, kimchi ingredients and the adaptability of pathogens means it's still vulnerable. So just do it right, store it right. Don't be stupid with it. Avoid the pathogens. That's with anything, guys. And then it talks about nitrate. The nitrate content in kimchi varies by the type and how it's prepared. Depending on preparation, you can minimize the nitrates. That said, purchasing the kimchi from reliable sources and correctly storing the kimchi can minimize the risk in any verse. Right. That's like any food, guys. Especially any food that's not cooked, And then it talks about the potential high sodium content and blood pressure. But there's few risks. Bottom line, kimchi is a sour Korean dish often made from cabbage and other vegetables. Because it's a fermented food, it boosts numerous probiotics. These healthy microorganisms may give kimchi several health benefits. It might help regulate your immune system, promote weight loss, fight inflammation, and even slow the aging process. And you can cook it at home.